Hey YouTube, it's time for another video, and because the EU Regional happened this weekend, it's going to be about Zen's performance. Now, we've all been excited to see what Zen's going to give us, and after the first Regional, everybody was split. At least, I was surprised everybody was split, but apparently they were, on whether or not Zen had lived up to the hype. His team had not lost a single series in their process to winning, but Zen wasn't his team's best player, at least not obviously. So some people said he did not live up to the hype. Very interesting decision for them to make, but we'll see if they still say that after this week. I would love for them to. I was mentioning we did some watch parties this weekend on YouTube. If you guys want to check those out, you can on the VODs, or you can meet us live next time I'm live for a watch party. But I mentioned it there that it's nice when crazy people go out of their way to say that he's not living up to the hype, because it makes it possible to make a video about having the opposite perspective. To me, I thought it was so clear that he obviously did. But anyways, we've moved on now, and I've yet to find out whether or not anybody is going to try and say that he hasn't lived up to the hype, because Zen has done it again. Now, I'll spoil it in case you guys didn't see. Vitality did end up winning their second regional, and Zen has not lost a single regional since he's joined the RLCS, but he has lost a series. It should be pointed out that when he got to the grand finals after this sweep of KC, they did lose a series to KC 1-4. So he's not undefeated in series, but he is undefeated in regionals. He got to the grand final with an additional life, so he was able to get a second chance, and they capitalized big time on their second chance, which we will go watch at least one game from earlier. But I wanted to pick games, and those of you who did watch with us or watched and saw any highlights probably already know why we picked this replay to watch, because it does include quite an incredible Zen play that helps make the case that he cannot be denied as arriving and reaching his hype. But one of the big things to point out, and if you watch the weekend or the watch party that we had, Radisson had Radosson, I think is the correct way to say it. Radosson had a really good weekend. And in fact, if Zen had had the weekend that Radosson had, I think there would have been even more hype on Zen. Zen had a lot of great plays, but Radosson probably had even more crazy mechanical plays. It's a nice little recovery there to make sure he got the right touch. But no question, Radosson was the best player this weekend. In fact, he was even the best player for the other team at times, as he was slamming in own goals and potential own goals in the grand final that got CJ and Stumpy very, very confused. But Zen still has the win. They've still won every regional since him joining, and you can see he's fairly uninvolved in both these goals that his teammates help him score. But Alpha 54 and Radosson, these were not regional winning players before Zen joined them. And I hope that nobody uses their one loss against them. I've already seen some YouTube comments and stuff saying, well, they would have lost without bracket reset. So yeah, he didn't live up to the hype. Come on, please don't do that. Or maybe please do. While Zen is hitting this insanity of a shot. And you better believe we're going to go watch it back again, because it's absolutely unbelievable. But Zen goes up for this 50, misses completely, and decides to continue to float. Alpha 54 dimes him the ball, and he slots it top right. We're going to watch it from Alpha 54's perspective again, because this is maybe one of the craziest shots, if not the craziest I've seen in a long time. Alpha, by the way, deserves a lot of credit for just slotting it directly at Zen. Give him his due. But if you guys happen to miss this clip over the course of the weekend, it's absolutely filthy. So we had to cover this game and Zen's performance. Feel free. I try to give you a few different angles there. Feel free to watch it back 100 times like we did on the stream if you haven't already. The casters were completely stumped when they saw it, because it's otherworldly. And that's the kind of stuff that Zen is doing. And it's the kind of stuff that is going to inspire players to get better in an attempt to meet and beat Zen. I get really excited about the fact that Vatira has been denied now a couple times, because that's the kind of guy who does not take losing lightly. And Vatira played amazing for KC. No doubt about it, Vatira was KC's best player and was doing his best to will KC to victory. But it didn't happen this time around. Vitality still with the win. Do you guys have Vitality as the best team in the world now? And another thing that people asked me a lot, which I'm not really sure. Maybe it's time to say Vitality's best. I guess KC could still hold on to it. I mean, maybe we wait one more regional, or do we just start giving it to Vitality? Seems like we maybe just give it to Vitality. But maybe even a harder question is, if you had to pick one or the other, Zen or Vatira, for your brand new team that you're starting, you can only have one of them. Who do you pick? Zen or Vatira? It's actually a question that a lot of people asked me over the weekend. And Vatira is a born winner. And before this regional, I still would have picked Vatira because he's just had too much of a perfect history. But now, I don't know. If I want the long-term success and maybe even the immediate success for my team, I might be picking up Zen. Sure, he hasn't been the craziest performing player every time on his team. He definitely has help, and Vatira has proven that he's won with any sort of teammates, or at least a variety of teammates. Maybe you could go Vatira, but I think I'd have to go Zen. It's tough. Maybe I'd end up regretting that pick, but I truly am committing to the fact that he's lived up to the hype. And they win this game 3-0. So this was the end of their sweep in the winners finals. So they knocked KC down, and then KC made their way back. They actually won in the first best of 7. But we're going to go check out a game of Zen's in the second best of 7 as Vitality tried to secure the grand final. This is game 3. In fact, a very tense game 3. A lot of people will just talk about how Vitality won, but the first 3 games of this series, and maybe the last 2 of the one before it, were all overtime. But this was a smooth play, a really, really smooth play to start it off. We're actually going to watch it again because you might not have caught what exactly happened here. Al54 up for the ball, bobs the ball into Zen, bumps him, and he just carries it away into an open net. On top of that, look down at Radosin, who gets the final bump to make that worthwhile. Otherwise, it's not going in. But still, a very impressive dribble in game number 3. And this was a very back and forth series. It was not clear that Vitality was going to come away with this second one, especially because every single game came down to the wire. And it's not going to be any different here in this game number 3, despite the solid start for Zen. One of the reasons why I don't think we'll hear as many people talking about Zen not playing well is not just because he's won 2 regionals in a row, but I also think he found a lot more clips maybe than he did in his previous regional. And I don't think that means he's necessarily played a ton better than he did in his previous regional necessarily, because he played well and they gave his team exactly what they needed. They did very little losing, in fact. And I would say the fact that they just lost to KC and they lost the series might even imply the team performed slightly worse as a whole. And it does seem like Zen's team struggles a little bit when he doesn't put up a good performance, and a lot of losses he is, not his team's best player. It's not like Zen is doing his best to try and pull the 2 up by their bootstraps in their losses. I think it is a pretty team-wide, responsibility for the losses, but maybe even, the team moves with Zen. When Zen plays well, the whole team plays well. If Zen isn't playing very well, then it's going to be a little bit tougher. Vatira was absolutely going hard at work in his attempt to bring KC up. Zen played the previous regional fairly defensively, and Alpha 54 got credit for being his team's best player. I think, not to knock anybody on the team, but I do think Alpha 54 was the clear number 3 here in this regional. That's one of the benefits of having so many good players, is that you can get away with one player having the best weekend one weekend and then the other one taking over when you finish up in the second regional. Zen, easy tap in, easy for him. I remember clipping a shot like that, air rolling around back in my day. Also, there was a lot of talk about the kickoffs. This is a great first goal for Vatira because it seemed like both teams were kickoff stratting at least a little bit. KC especially seemed like they tried to lose some kickoffs back to third men, which wouldn't be an interesting take at all if it weren't for the fact that we had that 2v2 show match recently that I recommend checking out if you weren't able to catch it, which was Zen and Vatira versus Nupo and TRK, in which Zen and Vatira were trash talking that TRK and Nupo were going for kickoff strategies. Now in Vatira's defense, he meant to say that 2v2 specific kickoff strategies are not worth practicing, but there's no doubt that some kickoff strategies were relevant here in this threes match. Radisson just cheating up there. If you watch that back, Alpha 54 was just looking for a fake at the midfield while dribbling to try and protect the ball. And when you do that, you can leave the ball very exposed. If you end up getting no touch at all, your defenders can leave you, can leave the net completely exposed, expecting you to get something. But this was a nice bump. I want to watch this bump again because Vatira got a very clutch bump, just wave dashing on top of Zen and preventing him from being able to jump and make the save, because Zen would have been there for it. I would have had a much better chance than he did. So credit to Vatira doing it all for his squad. And he's got his squad up 3-2. In fact, what does the score say? Yeah, 404 for Vatira, whereas Exotic not in the triple digits yet. Zen looking to redirect upfield. KC for a long time was camping in net. I say camping, they weren't really camping in net, but Vitality would, try and put as much pressure on them as they could. But whenever KC got their rotations back in net, they could not be beat. It wasn't until they started to throw some demos in to break up the back line of KC they start to find a bit of success. And then what also worked is more counterattack type play that isn't just playing against 3 defenders, but you can see all of KC right now just set up in nets. You can put as many shots like that on as possible, but Exotic and Vatira as a duo are not going to let you through. Not that easy. Alpha trying to set up a wave dash again. KC had all 3 camped in nets, but Vitality have to do something. Really wide rotations here for Zen. Often he was left back. It's Rado. Alpha 54 try their best to duo without Zen. Aggressive wave dashing as the clock winds down with 30 seconds left to go. These guys need something. Rado tried his best to bump Exotic to give his team his chance. Didn't connect. What is Zen going to do in the final moments? Huge lob as a clear. He knows Vatira's going to be sending it right back. Zen speeds over the top of the midfield challenger and bumps Itachi to guarantee the goal. These are the kind of things that don't go on the stat sheet as a goal for Zen and may look bad in the stats. He probably does get an assist, but a very solid play, great recognition to take out the defender. Tied now 3-3 despite Vatira's best efforts. Kickoff loss, an intentional kickoff loss, as we talk about kickoff strats by KC as they try and push the ball to their back left. So your second opportunity not going to happen as Exotic misses, so it'll be OT. Like I said, you should have known it was OT if you were listening. The last 2 games and then the first 3, this is game 3 of the second series, I believe were all OT is what they were saying. Or maybe that was the series, the winner's final. Either way, lots of overtime. But Zen, ceiling reset, wave dash down. Sure, Redosin doesn't finish it off right away, but it does get finished off eventually by Alpha. And these are the kind of crazy plays. This is another one of those situations that if you just look at the stats, because both of his teammates get a touch on this ball, Zen does not get credited with anything. All he did was just push the ball in the midfield, and technically this is a Redosin pass to an Alpha 54 score, but come on, you look at this and you know that Zen created this opportunity, and more so than anybody else, Zen lives on the ceiling. He seems so comfortable making plays off the ceiling, taking the ball to the ceiling, and finding a way to get it on net. This time, a little reset, just jumps right off of it as if it were the ground, and credit to Alpha who dunks in Itachi's clear. So Vitality went on to win this game. I believe that put them up 2-1 in the series, and they ended up dropping 1 more on path to winning 4-2 in the second series. Zen undefeated in regionals, 2 out of 2 regionals. Will people still be doubting him? I don't know. It seems like you got to bet on him winning 3. Has anybody won 3 in EU and NA? There must have. For some reason, I can't remember. Maybe BDS or something. I think 2 of 3 is the best that we've ever seen. Will we see 3 for 3? I'm not sure, but Zen might do it. Is he going to win the major as well? I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. Zen is certainly living up to the hype, and I will continue to keep you guys updated as he shows us more and more.